it's KB here. How are you?
Hi, KB. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I had the pleasure of seeing this film at Sundance, and you
Mm,
just put your heart and soul into this film, and it really shows. I love
thank you.
every moment of it.
Oh,
So
thank you.
tell me about kind of what MC, what director, and what writer really inspired you in working on this project.
Those are great questions. So there's a moment where I'm coming out of the train station and I finally arrived in Brownsville. It's a whole new world. Wow. And Latifah, Wrath of My Madness is playing in the background. She's had such an influence on me. Really. I remember being like maybe 12 or 13. And there's a show we used to watch in New York called Video Music Box, which Ralph McDaniels was the host of and still is. It's like 40 years now. And we were cleaning and I was in another part of the house and my mother's like, Radha, come here. You're on TV. And I'm like, what is she talking about? And it was Latifah. Latifah's Had It Up to Here was the video. And I remember watching it and being like, oh my God, like I've never seen anyone who looked and felt like me on screen, and kind of like rhyming unapologetically, like brash and yet still all woman. You know, there was nothing about her that felt compromised. She felt like one of the first like real MCs I had, real people MCs I had encountered. So she is a huge inspiration in terms of I love all of hip hop. I have many favorites. Rhapsody is another, but she's the person who planted the seed in me when I was very young. You said which director? Robert Townsend. Robert Townsend. I had the pleasure of having a conversation with him about a week ago for Urban World. And the reason I say Robert Townsend is because, you know, Spike was a huge influence, of course, you know, like he's an influence for any Black filmmaker because he was one of the first of his time. But I feel like Hollywood Shuffle and 40-Year Version talk to each other. You know, these are films about Black creatives who have to engage and encounter white gatekeepers. And this question of like, who gets to tell a Black story and is it authentic? And so he really, I just, still to this day, his films like invigorate me. But also, you know, using comedy to talk about some very unfunny things around race and gender and, you know, lack of inclusion. So Robert Townsend, and then you said writer?
Yes.
Well, there's a writer that I don't think people would think I'd be inspired by, but it's Toni Morrison because, well, one, she also started her career later in life, you know, but her writing is so dense. It's like a meal that you have to like take a few bites and just kind of push back from the table because it's just so rich. And her works are books. There's one book in particular called Beloved that I've read maybe 30 times since I first picked it up at 13 years old. And I'm hoping that, like her, my work is something people return to, you know, like if they're in a mood or they want to escape or they want some good music or they want to see a particular kind of journey. I hope that I create the kind of work that is timeless and classic like her.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, this film is already timeless and classic.
Oh,
Yes.
that means a lot.
We're well on the
I
way. Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you
Thank
so
you so much.